Welcome back to another Design League playthrough, and this one we're playing is from axelvonfersen, which is a wonderful name. And we are in Steppe, which I believe is our first... Actually, maybe we had another... Oh no, we've got Desert, sorry. And we're in... which I think we have had in this contest before. Looks like there's a lot of interest. There's some interesting texture choices. You can already tell. Yeah, like the planting. It's a good deserty sort of steppe look. Waste bunkers will come to... I mean, this looks a lot of fun. Let's look at the overview and see what we got. Okay, I can see our hog's back a million miles away. And we've got a little trail going down there and one tree off in the distance, clearly in our 800 by 350 area. Yeah, lots to enjoy. Got some ocean. I guess we'll talk about that in a second. So I think my first one might be, if in a contest like this and you're deciding to go with ocean, I would love to see you bring it a little bit closer into play rather than making me play away from it, particularly if it's a potential forced layup like this one. With this first hole, I get it works. No, it does work in terms of distance. It's a short hole. I would like the layup maybe to be a little less tight. But you're giving me gradually more space as I go back. I think that's one of those where it's just an awkward tee shot that I don't like as much as a player because it's awkward. I think it's well designed. The edges of the fairways and the bunkers, some of these are a little small where they come in and out, and I think that's something you'll just get better at the more you see and practice. It takes a bit of time to get this scaling right. I'll see if I can find somewhere where it's done really nicely. They're just a bit too in and out and in and out and in and out, rather than kind of more you don't want it to be smooth, but ragged and kind of consistent. I like this kind of part of the fairway here. I think that's about where you'd want it. That kind of consistency of in and out, even then it going a bit jagged there. But I'll point out more as we go. I wanted to look at the green. Green looks really good. Kind of as with, I think this one's got a bit of justification from going front to back. You've given us a load of space to land it on. I mean, in terms of pin positions, we've definitely got one here, we've definitely got one here. I'm not seeing two others that are still pinnable that are massively different and fair. If you've got one down here, I think that's dicey. If you've got one down here, I think that's dicey. If you've got one here, it's kind of very similar to this one. Although there and there are okay. I don't know, I might try flattening out some of this and pop one in here, but you need a bit more playable area than there. And the same with this bit, either lose this slope or this one, and then this, I think you'd probably lose this one, and then bring this pin a bit further forward. Just don't think they're going to play distinctly that differently. Planting looks really nice, and we've missed even with the layup. I'm not sure I love the blindness, as in, oh, it's gone very dark all of a sudden. The reason I'm not sure I love the blindness, I get the principle, but I think you've got to give people maybe a little bit more of a chance to get around it. Into the wind I'm in, there's, like, if you go over here, you get literally all of the advantages. If you go here, you get literally none of the advantages. I'd like a bit of a halfway house where, like, let's say, just load up the overhead, I think. Let's say if you play down this side, you get a bit more of a sight of the green, but because of where you're cutting the bunker in, that's not really possible without laying up to about 180 yards out, which no one's going to do, and even then you're still blind. So I think if you'd brought the fairway out a bit more here, or even just put like a bunker here rather than, I don't know, I think you've got to allow some way of making the left side of the fairway a bit more usable to allow that vantage point. Or the other option is this mound, just start it here, like halfway across. That would have been your easier option. Then we can see more of the green. And I get it's kind of trivial because we've got scout cam and everything, but it does make a difference when you're in, particularly when you're in contests of any sort. As ever, just love the look of sun coming out from behind clouds. I know the darkness isn't ideal, but damn, that looks good. What else have we got to say? Not sure that the funky green shape is totally warranted. I think you could cut green on here and you'd get probably a better result, or you mound this up a bit to justify the cutting in. But that's a minor. Oh my goodness, my tempo is even worse than usual. See if we can putt at least. Nope, no such luck. Really good views across the plot. That's working nicely. I like the look. You've used exactly the right types of plants. I like that you're clumping bushes. That's good. Yeah. Solid first hole. Like, I think a couple of tweaks I would make, but it's a really good first hole. I'm hoping you can take us to the ocean now. Kind of and not quite. We're kind of right there and we can't really see it because of all the bushes and things, which... Interesting green. Drivable par 4 and a punch bowl is different, should we go with? I mean, you are definitely allowing eagles here, which is good because we really need one. That'll make up for the first hole. I don't know. In terms of... we talked about this on the last playthrough. I think you've got to make people not go for drivable par 4s or give... And when you've got the ocean right there, I almost wonder whether you make this a little bit shorter. You have this punch bowl, and the small green with the punch bowl works really well if you've got a big hazard around it. You've got the biggest one imaginable with the ocean. I think you just need to bring that into play and either shorten the hole, bring the ocean in a bit more. That would give you something. I love the green site. I think the mounding around it is just awesome. It's really natural. It's really cool. I just don't know how well it fitted the shot that was played in. Like, I'd love that for a long iron into a par 4. I think that works perfectly. A long par 5. Drivable par 4. I don't know. I think it felt a bit too easy to make eagle there. Like the par 3, I think the bunker style here is very different to what we've had before. Just looks super clean. I think if you could worked the waste bunker into it, and the other thing that's striking me is the way you're starting the textures. So as you can see, we've got this very sandy, deserty area, and I think you've merged it really nicely with your planting up here, and then it kind of stops, and we've got just heavy, rough, natural, and you can see it really stands out in a way that here it's blended so nicely with the environment. I mean, the lighting is very low, but I do like it when it's going behind the clouds. I think that works well. This sort of interior puddling zone I'm not a massive fan of. You can't put a pin there, and it's like if you invert this and take it as a mound up, it works brilliantly. As a bottle, that little puddle in the green, I don't think it works very well. Well, not very well, but like it won't offer you the same amount of playing interest as, like, imagine you've got a putt from behind the mound, whereas here you're kind of going through a half pipe. It's a weird one. There's some types of internal contours that are, I guess, traditionally accepted, and others that maybe aren't. That's one where I think if you're going for a swale, it has to be quite big rather than just tiny little dips. And there are reasons for that. Okay, we're going to get to our first one, where I love the hole that you've created, this cape hole, and we can try to cut the corner as much as we possibly can. However, your ideal angle is going to be coming from here, which is right. I mean, you're trying to encourage me to stay as close to this side of the fairway as we can. But we can just hit down here, and I know this bunker's there, but even if I'm in that bunker, I've got a great shot compared to if I try to cut this corner and don't, or if I lay up. I mean, what you're essentially doing by having the awkward cut through down here is taking away any sort of layup here, because I'm either going for the drive here, which looks really difficult, or the one here, which I think is far more doable. Which I know is cheating, but I think that's part of the competition as well, in that if you're going for this kind of reduced plot size area, you've got to try to limit these things from happening. because that's part of the skill of routing in, for goodness sake, stupid pitch shot at HP. But that is part of the skill in routing in a tight area. It's can you make sure that there aren't any shortcuts, and you'll have seen some of that with, I'll go on, a few of the World Cup courses. Like it's something that people will look for and try to exploit. Well, there's an awful part. And so we're going to make a bogey anyway, but yeah, there we are. All sorts of fun on this round so far. I like the hole, I just wish it hadn't allowed me this shortcut. That would have been much better. Hogsback feels, yeah, and the spines. I like them in isolation looking at this hole, but you haven't done any of the kind of really manufactured sculpting like this one where it's just in a dead line. You haven't done any of that on previous holes, and so it kind of sticks out. It's not the sort, it's the sort of sculpting where you've got to either go all in at the start and do it on every hole, and it's a geometric kind of course, or you do it nowhere. It's not really a half and half. You can't just have one geometric hole, because it will just, it's not even a quirky thing, it just won't fit with the rest of them. That said, I'm hacking my way around this hole really badly with tempo. But at least I've got the friendliest pin imaginable on the green. And I like the idea of the hogsback, I like the idea of the spines. In terms of I just make it a little less angular, really. So keep the concept of the two spines, but try to work them into the land a bit more naturally. We're kind of hitting another one where you've got some different ideas here on different holes. So we've gone from Cape Hole to our hogsback, which we just played. We're now joining two fairways together, which is cool. I'm okay with that. We've got a very split fairway where I guess wind will change it very differently. I don't think there's any reason of putting fairway around here. I'd just be merging this bunker and make it part of your waste bunker. It would look much more natural anyway. Yeah. Sightline, we can't see that bunker either. I think I'd be working on some of the sculpting there. It might be the planting that's hiding it as well. It's hard to tell. We'll talk about the bunker itself now we're going into it. As you can see, we've got yeah, you can kind of see the lie grid. We've got a very interesting line. If I zoom out a little bit, you can see some of the issue that we're having. Let's go this way. Get to our putter. The reason you're having this is because your shape is just too small. So, and I'd lose the bit in the middle. You need something pretty common we see with newer designers where you just need to make your bunkers a bit bigger, and then you'll find them easier to sculpt. And then you'll go and make them too big, and you have to find the sweet spot a bit. But something like this, where it's like, what, maybe 5 yards at most here, you're always going to be fighting an uphill battle to sculpt, particularly if you put something raised in the middle, because you're trying to make the land go up here, down here, up here, and all still be visible and have a high side, probably this side, and it's just very, very difficult. So I think the way I'd get around that is mainly just, make your shapes a bit less awkward. So same here, it's kind of all folding in on itself because it's got to come up again. If you make your shapes a bit more simple, it will work generally much, much better. We're just hacking out, so let's see what happens. Go to another bunker. I seem to have caught all of the 10 clouds, which is a shame. Again, unlike the previous one, I do appreciate that we've got a couple of par 5s. That definitely works for variety. I think the textures you've used are really interesting and work well as well. I like the disconnected green complex here. I think that would work nicely. I feel like this one's been the split fairway hole where we've done all of them, and then the previous one was the geometric hole, and the previous one was the cape hole, and the previous one was the water hole. The one before was the drivable one. I think you could kind of, I guess, make those ideas work a little bit more cohesively together. I like them all individually. It's just linking them up so that they don't feel like they're at odds with one another so much. But I've really enjoyed this. Again, I think the environment's really good. There's loads of promise there. Yeah, I mean, a couple of things to note as ever, but lots of fun here. So yeah, thank you for the course. Really enjoyed it. Best of luck with the remaining design leagues, and yeah, see you soon.